You are that little speck looking up at that massive building picked up by the massive hand of a giant whose house is Everest, which is the tiny little speck bump on the side of Earth, which if the sun was that big, Earth would be the size of a ping pong ball. If we put the sun over there, and it's the size of a pea, half the size of a pea, then the solar system finishes over there, except remember the whole thing goes around, so twice that. Very carefully draw that on the top of a human hair. The galaxy is the size of Cambridge, bigger than Cambridge in fact. Stick the galaxy on your thumb and the observable universe is, again, roughly the size of Cambridge. So let me finish with three very, very quick things. What's outside the cosmic horizon? The answer is probably more of the same, but we don't know because we can't see it and we never will be able to by definition. But probably more of the same. How much more of the same? We don't know. We just don't know. Secondly, what does all this mean for when you look up at night? Unfortunately it's cloudy, so tonight won't be this. But when you look up at night, what is all these galaxies and stars and stuff, what would that actually look like if you had perfectly good eyes? Well, the best eyes we have, some of the best, hang on, recapping. There we go, right. Sorry. Honestly, thought I had those slides. That is the Hubble Space Telescope. We put a telescope in space. You are coming along to an astronomy talk, so you probably know that already. It's 600 kilometers up. The mirror they use to collect the light is 2.5 meters across. When they first made Hubble, you have to get the shape exactly right. The bottom of it was too flat by something like a hundredth of a millimeter or less, and it ruined the whole thing. It was all fuzzy. But the geniuses at NASA fixed it. Now, what the Hubble Space Telescope did is it stared at a very small piece of sky that looked quite dark, just to the naked eye. Now, how small this patch of sky is actually quite important. So suppose you're standing in that corner of the room, and what we're going to do is we're going to paint this side of the room, and the idea is going to be we're going to paint the positions of stars. So that, say I painted a certain cluster, a certain constellation. So if I looked up at the constellation, or if I stood over there and looked at the painting of the constellation on this side, it would be the same size. It would look right. Does that make sense to everybody? So it's like, that would look like the night sky from there. If you get too close, it'll look wrong, too far away, but that distance, that's it. The Hubble Space Telescope looked at a piece of sky the size of a postage stamp on that wall. Tiny bit of sky. If you wanted to look, it's about a millionth of the total sky that you could look at, I believe. Now, if you looked at this bit of sky just with your eyes, you would see this. Nothing. If you looked at it with even some very good ground-based telescopes, you would see this. And most of that's kind of noise. It's a bit boring. I mean, there's a couple of bright spots all over the place. If you looked at it through Hubble, you see that. Take your time with that one. I think that is possibly the greatest photograph mankind has ever taken in its history. That is the Hubble Ultra Deep Field. So you can see sort of small galaxies. So there's a nice spiral galaxy there. If it's got spikes on it, it's a star. But everything else, every little blob, every little blip, that's not noise. They're all galaxies. 10,000 of them in an area the size of a postage stamp moved from that side of the other. That is what it means when you look up. Now, Finally, this is reasonably important. You're obviously feeling quite small right now, and that's normal. You are small. That's the moral of the story. A lot of people look into this stuff and they think that it makes mankind insignificant. And I've never understood that connection. If we're small, why would that make us insignificant? So let's ask a different question. We've seen the biggest things in the universe, but what's the most complex, orderly, intricate, complicated thing in the universe? We are. Isaac Asimov said, in man is a 3-pound brain, which as far as we know is the most complex and orderly arrangement of matter. The thing you are using to understand the universe is in fact the most complicated, intricate, amazing thing in the entire universe. So we might know that we are astronomically small. At the end of the day, we are astronomers.